Hey everyone. So I felt the need to clarify something that I had said in my previous video, my psychic reading on Zelenskyy, specifically around the Ukrainian military firing upon its own people, and how when I was tuning into that and reading it, I was specifically looking at the conspiracy theory narrative, which when I say conspiracy theory, I don't mean that in a negative way, because it literally just means people conspiring against each other and people having a hypothesis or a theory about that. And that happens all the time. So, conspiracy theory doesn't mean that it's not real. Anyways, what I was looking at was the conspiracy theory narrative that the Ukrainian military was firing on its own civilians and blaming it on Russia. And that, when I tune into it, I don't really get that that's exactly their strategy. However, I want to add but to this because it's a very complex situation. And the Western media is not really reporting all the sides to this. Just like if you had a football game, you would want that game to be played in the home stadium. Just like a war, you want the world to see it from your side and support you. And this is a strategic maneuver, and it makes sense to do it like that. However, that doesn't mean that we necessarily have to believe all of that or not see the other side to it. The other side to it is that there are actually a lot of Ukrainians or ex Ukrainians or maybe pro Russian ex Ukrainians who maybe identify as Russian. It's hard to say what they are exactly. But there are people who were Ukrainians who now side with Russia, and that's not really being reported in the mainstream Western media. Of course, this is being reported in, by Putin, and it's, you get one side and then you get the other side, but you never really get the balanced, full perspective of what's going on. The other thing that's going on is Azov, or Azov, I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly, but Azov. And this is the Nazi paramilitary that works or was working in Ukraine. And so sometimes they get identified as Ukrainians. So these are Nazis that obviously they don't side with Russia. So who do they side with? Well, they side with the Ukraine military, even though they're a paramilitary, not the Ukrainian military. But you see how words become confusing, and pretty soon they kind of become the Ukraine military from one perspective. And so the other thing is that the Zelenskyy, when I tuned into him, and I really do believe this fully, that he really is deeply Jewish, because that's just what I was seeing. I was seeing the Star of David very strongly and him being very devoted in his actions. I do not see him supporting Nazis or Azov, but obviously the Ukrainian government military has been giving out weapons to anyone in Ukraine who wants to take a weapon and take up arms against Russia. And so this is going to obviously include the Nazi paramilitary Azov. And so of course they're working for the Ukrainian government in some way. And so this leads to what I was saying in my Zelenskyy psychic reading, where I was talking about how I didn't see them working together, in the sense that I didn't see Zelenskyy specifically supporting them, but also that they're not bombing innocent civilians. However, it's complex because these compromised people, which I did say in that video that there could be compromised people within the government, so it's not the Ukrainian military themselves doing this necessarily, it's kind of just compromised individuals or compromised Nazi paramilitary organizations working within it, or it's the Ukrainian military fighting off the Russians, which could also include civilians that have taken the side of Russia. And so words are confusing, and it's a very complex situation. So I just wanted to clarify that because I think it's important to understand the whole situation here and how the Western media just isn't really showing the whole picture. And also, I may not always see the whole picture myself, and I may sometimes see things from a black and white perspective because I don't always understand everything that's going on, and I just kind of get a sense of what's going on. I may express it in a way that's oversimplified. So also take what I'm saying with a grain of salt as well, because that's just me being real. And, you know, just because someone is psychic doesn't mean that they know everything. Just like, it's just like a sense, just like any sense. Just because I have eyeballs and I can see doesn't mean that I can look at Mars and see what's going on the surface of Mars with my eyes. But you wouldn't say that I'm blind because I can't see what's on the surface of Mars. So just because I don't know everything doesn't mean that I don't have a psychic sense. We all have a psychic sense. So anyways, take everything with a grain of salt. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I always appreciate a thumbs up if you want to do that. And subscribe if you haven't yet. Alright, take it easy.